Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into something important for anyone looking to grow a food processing business efficiently.
Oh,
We're talking processing equipment.
that's right.
We've got some detailed info here looking at production lines for things like, tomato paste, various sauces. Our goal today is to really dig into what makes a smart investment here, especially if you're aiming for growth, but maybe without a huge initial spend.
Exactly. It's about how a strategic, sort of step-by-step approach to equipment can be, well, a real game changer.
Okay.
And the core of it, really, is this idea of a modular design and why even picking an entry-level machine can be a very, very savvy move.
Modular. Yeah, we hear that term. Let's unpack that a bit. When we talk about modular for these Macline processing lines, what does that actually mean in practice?
Think of it like building blocks, maybe. Instead of one massive fixed machine doing everything,
Right.
a modular system is made of separate pieces. You can start with the essentials, the core parts. And then later, you can easily add more units or even remove them if needed as your production needs change or your business grows. It's about building it piece by piece.
So this building block idea, how does that actually help the bottom line, particularly for someone just starting out, maybe with limited capital?
The big win is managing that initial investment. That's key.
Right.
You don't need this enormous sum up front for a complete, bells and whistles factory. Modularity lets you begin with a more basic setup.
Like the Macline Eco model.
Exactly. The Macline Eco is the standard one. It lets you get production rolling without that crippling upfront cost. This makes getting started, well, much more accessible.
Okay, the Macline Eco. Our info says it comes standard with, let's see, a washing pool, peel separator, preheating tank, vacuum cooking unit.
The vacuum cooking is important for quality.
A pasteurizer that's for heating to preserve it, right?
Exactly. Extends shelf life.
And a semi-automatic filling head. That sounds like, well, a pretty decent starting point.
It really is. It gives you the core functions you need for a solid range of basic products. But what's really smart is how it's designed for future growth.
How so?
Well, the documentation lists a whole suite of other equipment you can just integrate later. Plug and play, almost.
Okay, what sort of extra capabilities are we talking about adding on?
You see things like a boiling kettle, maybe for jams or different sauces, even a dedicated line just for processing peppers, which is quite interesting.
Peppers, okay.
Then there's a homogenizer. That's what you need for really smooth textures, like in ketchup or mayo.
Ah, right.
A crushing mill, different filters, pumps, various cooling units, packaging options. It's quite a comprehensive system that can really evolve.
This is where it gets really interesting, I think. Imagine a business, let's say in Nigeria or Kenya. They start with that core EcoCo setup. Then, as they grow, maybe they see a big demand for pepper sauce. They could just add that pepper processing line later on to use local harvest.
Precisely. That adaptability, that ability to scale and diversify your products without that huge initial hit, that's incredibly relevant for businesses in growing economies across Africa.
Yeah.
It lets you react to what ingredients are available seasonally and what customers actually want much more flexibly.
Now let's talk about what makes this equipment stand out. Our sources, they don't explicitly say this is the only one like it, but the combination of features seems quite powerful. What strikes you as being particularly notable?
Well, I think what's really fascinating is the sheer variety of products the Macline Series as a whole can handle, especially when you factor in those add-ons we mentioned.
Okay.
We're not just talking tomato paste here. You could potentially be making pepper paste, ketchup, mayonnaise, barbecue sauce, pizza sauce, all sorts of cooking sauces.
Wow.
And then things like fruit jams, apple, apricot, even fruit juices like orange, apple, mango, pineapple, with the right configuration, of course.
That's a massive range, from staples people use every day, like tomato paste, to more niche things, or seasonal product like mango juice.
It's exactly.
So business isn't stuck just doing one thing. They could run tomatoes when they're cheap and in season, and then switch over to making, I don't know, pineapple jam when pineapples are plentiful.
That's the beauty of it. That versatility to work with different fruits and vegetables gives you a real edge.
How so?
Well, you can use your equipment more consistently through the year, right? Match your production to local availability. It potentially opens up multiple income streams from one core investment.
Let's circle back to that entry-level Macline Eco model for a minute. The sources really highlight that even this basic unit is a, quote, complete processing solution for smaller businesses. What are some of the key advantages built right in?
Yeah, there are several key benefits. First, even though it's the E-key model, it still has a pretty significant capacity for processing raw materials. It's not tiny.
Okay.
Second, and this is crucial, there's a big focus on low energy consumption, keeping those running costs down. It apparently uses only about 17 kilowatt hours. That's pretty efficient.
That is low. And what about the people needed to run it? The staffing?
That's another big point. The infos suggest a really low personnel requirement for the ECO, just 4 unskilled workers, plus 1 technician.
4 plus 1. So that directly impacts labor costs, doesn't it? Makes it much more manageable.
Absolutely. Lower staffing mean lower overhead.
Yeah.
That makes it way more viable for smaller operations, maybe family businesses that don't have huge resources.
Right.
And that energy efficiency point, too. They mentioned using high-efficiency motors, IE2 or IE3 class. Apparently, these cut energy use by around 20% compared to standard motors. That adds up.
So it's really designed for maximum output while keeping those operational costs, energy, labor as low as possible.
Pretty much.
The sources also talk about minimal waste and high quality in the final product. How does that work?
It seems to be down to the modern design and flow. They aim to preserve the best qualities, the color, the taste, the aroma of the raw ingredients.
Okay.
Things like pasteurizing directly in the same tank, for instance, that minimizes handling and potential quality loss.
Which means a better product for the consumer and potentially a better price for the producer.
Exactly. Better quality can build customer loyalty and command a premium.
Now, just briefly, let's touch on the other models. To see how they build on that eco foundation, what are the key upgrades?
Sure. So the Macline Plus, the next step up, adds a homogenizer.
Which we said was for smooth sauces?
Right. Think ketchup, mayonnaise, that kind of smooth, consistent texture. Essential for those products.
Got it.
Then the Macline Pro, that's a big jump in capacity. It essentially doubles production with an extra concentration unit. It can even apparently process 2 different products at the same time.
2 at once? Wow, okay.
Then you've got the Macline Premium. This one expands things further with a built-in pepper processing line and a separate filling tank, allowing for more continuous operation, especially for those pepper products.
Right, peppers again.
And finally, there's the Macline Juice, which, as the name suggests, is specifically kitted out for fruit juice and puree production. It includes things like a crushing unit and a filter system.
So it's a clear ladder, really. Each model offers a path for growth and doing more specialized things, depending on where the business wants to go. But the main point seems to be that starting with that Macline Eco, it gives you a really solid, sensible way in.
Absolutely. You get the essentials, it's efficient, it keeps costs manageable, and critically, it gives you that flexibility to expand later as your business finds its feet and the market develops.
Thinking again about our listeners, particularly entrepreneurs and SMEs in Africa, it really strikes me that these specific features, the lower initial investment from being modular,
Yeah, that's huge.
the reduced operating costs, both staffing and energy, and just the sheer versatility in what you can make, that all seems incredibly well suited to the realities and opportunities in the region.
That's a really critical point, I think. And add to that the ease of operation they mentioned, plus the availability of technical support. That's also vital for reliable performance, wherever you're operating.
Makes sense. So, wrapping up our deep dive today, these Macline systems seem to offer a genuinely smart pathway into food processing.
Yeah.
The modular design is key for managing that initial investment. The potential to make such a wide range of products offers a significant competitive edge. And even that starting point, the Macline Eco, looks like a strong, efficient foundation for a new venture.
Totally agree. It's about starting smart, minimizing those early risks, but having the built-in flexibility to grow and grab market opportunities as they come up.
Right. And on that note, here's a final thought for you, the listener, to maybe chew on. Given this ability to start relatively small and the incredible range of products you could potentially create, what specific local ingredients right there in your region could you realistically see yourself processing with a system like this? And thinking bigger, what new, exciting market opportunities could that unlock? Not just for you, but maybe for your whole community. Something to think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.